So tell us who you are, please.
My name is Jessica Sanchez. I'm 20.
Jessica Sanchez just flipped the entire narrative of America's Got Talent on its head. In a single performance, she didn't just reclaim her place on the stage. She shattered expectations and left millions speechless. After nearly 2 decades away from the spotlight, the 29-year-old singer made a jaw-dropping return to AGT, not only delivering a powerhouse vocal performance, but also dropping 2 personal bombshells that sent the internet into meltdown. Midway through her emotional audition, Jessica stunned both the judges and live audience when she revealed that she's not only been secretly married, but is also 5 months pregnant. Seconds later, the room erupted as Sophia Vergara slammed the golden buzzer in a moment that was instantly immortalized in headlines and fan reactions around the world. But as confetti rained down and social media lit up in support, a new wave of speculation quietly emerged behind the scenes. With the AGT live shows just weeks away, and Jessica's due date looming dangerously close, fans and insiders alike began asking the question no one wanted to voice out loud. Will Jessica Sanchez be forced to walk away from the biggest comeback of her life before the competition even begins? In the history of talent show auditions, very few moments have managed to leave an audience, a panel of judges, and the entire internet in stunned silence. But Jessica Sanchez achieved exactly that. As the final notes of her deeply emotional performance echoed through the AGT auditorium, she leaned forward into the microphone and calmly delivered a truth that would instantly make global headlines. She was 5 months pregnant. It was a move so unexpected, so raw, and so unapologetically bold that it caught even the most seasoned viewers off guard. But Jessica wasn't done. In the same breath, she confirmed that she and longtime partner Ricky Gallardo had been secretly married since 2021, a union they'd kept entirely out of the public eye. The combination of those 2 bombshells, timed perfectly at the climax of her performance, turned what was already an emotional comeback into something groundbreaking. In a matter of seconds, Jessica Sanchez transformed a televised audition into a viral media moment, setting the stage not only. Jessica Sanchez just flipped the entire narrative of America's Got Talent on its head. In a single performance, she didn't just reclaim her place on the stage. She shattered expectations and left millions speechless. After nearly 2 decades away from the spotlight, the 29-year-old singer made a jaw-dropping return to AGT, not only delivering a powerhouse vocal performance, but also dropping 2 personal bombshells that sent the internet into meltdown. Midway through her emotional audition, Jessica stunned both the judges and live audience when she revealed that she's not only been secretly married, but is also 5 months pregnant. Seconds later, the room erupted as Sophia Vergara slammed the golden buzzer in a moment that was instantly immortalized in headlines and fan reactions around the world. But as confetti rained down and social media lit up in support, a new wave of speculation quietly emerged behind the scenes. With the AGT live shows just weeks away, and Jessica's due date looming dangerously close, fans and insiders alike began asking the question no one wanted to voice out loud. Will Jessica Sanchez be forced to walk away from the biggest comeback of her life before the competition even begins? In the history of talent show auditions, very few moments have managed to leave an audience, a panel of judges, and the entire internet in stunned silence. But Jessica Sanchez achieved exactly that. As the final notes of her deeply emotional performance echoed through the AGT auditorium, she leaned forward into the microphone and calmly delivered a truth that would instantly make global headlines. She was 5 months pregnant. It was a move so unexpected, so raw, and so unapologetically bold that it caught even the most seasoned viewers off guard. But Jessica wasn't done. In the same breath, she confirmed that she and longtime partner Ricky Gallardo had been secretly married since 2021, a union they'd kept entirely out of the public eye. The combination of those 2 bombshells, timed perfectly at the climax of her performance, turned what was already an emotional comeback into something groundbreaking. In a matter of seconds, Jessica Sanchez transformed a televised audition into a viral media moment, setting the stage not only for a new chapter in her career, but also for a nationwide conversation about motherhood, artistry, and what it truly means to return on your own terms. Sophia Vergara, visibly moved, slammed the golden buzzer without hesitation, a golden endorsement that seemed to confirm what millions were thinking. This wasn't just a performance. This was history in the making. As gold confetti rained from the ceiling, Jessica stood tearfully at the center of a stage, her baby bump subtly visible under the lights. It was a layered and powerful image, a moment that spoke to resilience, reinvention, and the silent strength it takes to show up fully, even when the world isn't expecting it. But behind the cheers and viral celebration, another narrative was beginning to stir, one that asked not what she had already revealed, but what might come next. Long before the golden confetti and social media frenzy, Jessica Sanchez had already carved her name into the fabric of pop culture. Her story isn't just about one comeback. It's the continuation of a journey that began when she was barely old enough to understand what fame meant. In 2006, at just 10 years old, Jessica first graced the stage of America's Got Talent during its inaugural season. Even then, she wasn't just another contestant. She was a vocal prodigy, a wild-card semi-finalist, whose raw talent left an indelible impression on judges and viewers alike. But it was 6 years later, on the grand stage of American Idol in 2012, that Jessica truly exploded into the national spotlight. As a teen powerhouse with precision control and mature emotional delivery, she quickly became a fan favorite and ultimately finished as the season's runner-up in what many still consider one of the most competitive seasons in the show's history. Her performances drew praise from legends across the music industry, and she parlayed that acclaim into a recording contract, a debut album, and collaborations with some of music's biggest names. Over the next decade, her career quietly flourished beyond American shores, including performances at global events, tours across Asia, and even an invitation to sing for a US president. And yet, despite the accolades, Jessica's public presence began to fade in the late 2010s. She didn't disappear, but she chose a different path, one that leaned into songwriting, behind-the-scenes vocal work, and personal reflection. It was a deliberate withdrawal from the chaotic pace of the entertainment industry, and for a while, fans wondered if she'd ever return to the spotlight. What no one knew then was that Jessica Sanchez wasn't retreating, she was preparing. And when she finally reemerged on the AGT stage in 2025, it wasn't just to sing. It was to finish a story she had started nearly 20 years earlier, and to show the world exactly who she had become. When Jessica Sanchez stepped back into the spotlight on America's Got Talent in July 2025, it wasn't the typical return of a former finalist hoping for one last shot. It was a quiet storm brewing beneath the surface of mainstream entertainment. For years, her name had remained etched in the memories of fans, but her face had grown absent from screens, her voice missing from charts, her story seemingly paused. Many assumed she had retired quietly or settled into a private life far from the relentless glare of the public eye. But in truth, Jessica had spent those silent years doing something far more powerful than staying relevant. She was evolving. Behind the scenes, she focused on songwriting, vocal development, and most importantly, personal healing and growth. No longer a teenager navigating stardom, she emerged in 2025 as a woman with clarity, intention, and a purpose that transcended performance. Her decision to return to AGT wasn't just a career move, it was a statement. A bold, deliberate reclaiming of identity in a world that had long since moved on to the next viral star. But as the lights dimmed and the audience waited with curiosity and nostalgia, what they witnessed was not a throwback, not a has-been clinging to past glory, but a reawakening. Jessica didn't arrive seeking redemption. She arrived ready to redefine what a comeback truly looks like. The wide-eyed girl from season 1 was gone. So was the precocious Idol finalist. In their place stood an artist molded by time, silence, and life experience. And while fans expected a nostalgic performance, what they got was something deeper, heavier, and far more powerful. A performance charged with decades of untold chapters, carried in every breath, every note, every glance. This wasn't just the comeback nobody expected. It was the one no one saw coming. Just when the audience thought they had witnessed Jessica Sanchez's defining moment, she leaned into the microphone and unraveled a truth that would send shockwaves far beyond the AGT stage. With calm, unshakable poise, she revealed to millions of viewers that she was 5 months pregnant, a revelation so unexpected, so intimate, and so powerfully timed that it reshaped the very idea of what a talent show audition could be. In a world where public image is curated and surprises are often manufactured for clicks, Jessica's choice to share her pregnancy live in the middle of a high-stakes performance was not just bold, it was revolutionary. The moment her words left her lips, the audience collectively gasped. Even the judges, usually unflinching in the face of drama, were visibly shaken. But Jessica didn't flinch. She stood rooted, composed, radiating the strength of someone who had made peace with her truth and chose to wield it publicly. Within minutes of the broadcast, Instagram lit up with a now iconic post, a glowing photo of Jessica, hand resting gently on her baby bump. Her caption, reading simply, "Kept it quiet these past 5 months. Our hearts are so full." With that, she confirmed what the world had just witnessed. She and her husband, Ricky Gallardo, were expecting their first child, a joy they had kept hidden for months. And then came the second shockwave. She and Ricky had actually been married since 2021, managing to keep their relationship and wedding completely private in an era when even breakfast choices make headlines. The internet exploded. Support poured in from fellow artists, fans, and even former AGT champions. Jessica's reveal wasn't just a headline. It became a moment of cultural resonance. She had challenged the rules of celebrity exposure, turned vulnerability into power, and reshaped an entire narrative in under 5 minutes. But while the world applauded her courage and composure, another question quietly took root, one that would soon overshadow the celebration. Would Jessica Sanchez actually be able to continue in the competition with her due date rapidly approaching? As the golden confetti settled and Jessica Sanchez's triumphant return echoed across headlines and social media feeds, a quieter, far more complicated question began to emerge. One that had nothing to do with her talent and everything to do with timing. With the AGT live shows rapidly approaching, fans and insiders started doing the math. If Jessica announced she was 5 months pregnant in mid-July 2025, that places her expected due date somewhere between late September and early October. Coincidentally, that's the exact window when AGT's high-stakes live semifinals and grand finale are scheduled to air. The overlap is impossible to ignore. Suddenly, what seemed like a career-redefining comeback was undercut by the looming uncertainty of whether she could physically and emotionally make it through the most demanding stretch of the competition. The live rounds of AGT aren't just about showing up and singing. They require relentless rehearsals, press junkets, media appearances, and precision under pressure, all while performing live in front of millions. For any contestant, it's a grueling schedule. For a woman in her 3rd trimester, it could be an extraordinary challenge. While neither Jessica nor the AGT production team has issued a public statement regarding accommodations or adjustments, speculation has begun to swirl. Some wonder if she'll bow out before the physical demands become overwhelming. Others believe she's planning to push through with the same fierce determination that's defined her entire career, possibly even performing on live television just weeks before giving birth, something that would be unprecedented in AGT history. Still, there are risks. The final stages of pregnancy can be unpredictable. Fatigue, stress, and sudden complications could arise, and performing under that kind of pressure while carrying a child could take a significant toll. And yet, Jessica's silence on the matter speaks volumes. No complaints, no disclaimers, no statements of doubt. She's letting her actions and her voice speak for her. For now, fans can only watch and wait, caught between celebration and concern. Will the rising tension between her artistic ambition and impending motherhood force an early exit from the competition? Or will Jessica Sanchez do what no one has ever done before? Take the AGT stage in the final rounds while standing at the brink of motherhood? As the countdown to the America's Got Talent live shows ticks closer, one question has become the central focus of fan forums, entertainment sites, and even backstage murmurs. Will Jessica Sanchez actually stay in the competition, or will her pregnancy force her to step away before the grand finale? The speculation isn't just tabloid chatter. It's a legitimate concern backed by a very real timeline. With rehearsals set to intensify and performances moving into weekly live broadcasts, the physical and emotional demands will skyrocket. And for Jessica, who'll be entering her final trimester during this critical stretch, those demands could prove overwhelming. But here's the twist. No one, not even Jessica herself, has offered a clue. She hasn't made a public statement about her plans, hasn't hinted at modifications to her schedule, and hasn't acknowledged the swirling rumors. That silence has only fueled curiosity, turning every social media post into a potential clue and every new episode into a cliffhanger. Fans are now divided into two camps. One side believes Jessica will bow out gracefully, prioritizing her health and her baby's safety over the chaos of live competition. They argue that her return, her golden buzzer, and her viral impact have already cemented her legacy, that she has nothing left to prove. But the other side sees a different ending. They point to Jessica's history, a woman who's been underestimated, sidelined, and still managed to rise time and again. To them, walking away isn't in her DNA. They imagine her performing in the final rounds with a visible baby bump, defying every expectation and redefining what it means to be a contestant, an artist, and a mother, all at once. Behind the scenes, AGT producers are likely wrestling with the same question. Are contingency plans being made? Could schedules be shifted or segments pre-recorded to accommodate her journey? If so, no one's saying. And perhaps that's the brilliance of it. By staying silent, Jessica has transformed her story into something larger than a performance. She's created a real-time narrative filled with suspense, admiration, and unanswered questions. Whatever decision she makes, it will land with impact, because the stakes aren't just about winning a show anymore. They're about rewriting what's possible under the most public spotlight in the world. And as each day passes, the tension builds. Will Jessica walk away from a defining chapter, or walk directly into history? If Jessica Sanchez's performance lit the spark, the internet's reaction was a wildfire. Within hours of her golden buzzer moment airing, social media platforms were flooded with a tidal wave of emotion, admiration, and viral commentary. Fans didn't just applaud her vocals, they rallied around her entire story. Across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, she wasn't simply trending as a singer or a returning contestant. She was being hailed as a symbol of resilience, reinvention, and raw human strength. Comment sections were filled with praise, calling her a warrior, supermom, and the voice of a generation finally returning home. For many, it wasn't just about the music. It was about the courage it took to stand on one of the world's biggest stages, 5 months pregnant, and not only perform, but dominate. Even AGT contestants from past seasons chimed in, publicly calling her the inspiration this season didn't know it needed, and a game changer for how artists and mothers are viewed in entertainment. But amidst the flood of public support, one message stood out. A quiet, deeply personal note from Jessica's husband, Ricky Giardo. On his Instagram, he posted a candid backstage photo of Jessica standing proudly in front of the AGT sign, radiant and smiling, captioned simply, "So proud of you. Our baby felt every note." It was a brief post, but one that hit home for millions. In that single line, the entire weight of Jessica's journey, her motherhood, her artistry, her humanity, was captured. Suddenly, this wasn't just a competition. It was a portrait of a family stepping into the spotlight together, of love and support behind the scenes, and of a woman carrying both life and legacy at the same time. News outlets picked up on the story instantly, with entertainment magazines dubbing her the comeback queen, the mom-to-be with the voice of an angel, and the most talked about AGT contestant in years. Interviews were requested, headlines swirled, and streaming numbers for her past performances began to spike. But beneath the applause and accolades, the same question quietly echoed louder with each passing day. With everything now on the line, how far can Jessica go? And will her story end on the AGT stage or somewhere far more profound? For Jessica Sanchez, this moment is no longer just about a performance. It's about transformation. What began as a surprise return to a talent show stage has evolved